going to notes. Now, agenda for Algebra A. This is August 30, 2019. Now, go ahead and pause the video and give the students a couple of minutes to copy down the agenda. Okay, students should be done writing down the agenda. Now, don't forget to have the students sign in. That's going to be part of their attendance. And today, they're just going to be going over Chapter 1, Section 1.2. Okay, on to the next page. Now, go ahead and pause this video again and give them about like 6 minutes to copy all of this down. Okay, now, once the 6 minutes is up, now let's go over section 1.2, exponents and powers. Now, the vocabulary for exponent. An exponent is a quantity representing the power to which a given number or expression is raised. Now, you don't have to focus on this definition if it already got you lost. All you have to focus on is really how it looks like. So go to the example letter A, 10 raised to the first power. So the power here is 1, which is raising the base number 10. Okay, so let's look at B, 4 raised to the second power. The exponent is 2. Let's go to letter C, 5 raised to the third power. The power is, or the exponent, is 3. So exponent and power are the same terms. Now look at letter D, 7 raised to the sixth power, then the exponent is 6. Okay, easy so far. Now, let's go see how it looks like. Let's go back to example A again. 10 raised to the first power. Now, that's how it looks like. This is how it's said, 10 to the first power, and the meaning is just rewriting 10 once. And notice that the power is gone, because you just wrote 10 once. Look at letter B. 4 raised to the second power, or 4 squared. This is how it looks like, and how it's said, 4 to the second power, or 4 squared. Now, you only say squared when the power is 2, nothing else. So squared only refers to the power 2. Okay, then the meaning, how it's rewritten, you write 4 2 times because the power is 2. Okay, let's go to C. 5 raised to the third power, or 5 cubed. Now cubed only refers to the power 3, and that is it. Okay, nothing else. So cube only refers to the power when the power is 3. Now, this is how 5 to the third power looks like, or 5 cubed. This is how you say it, 5 to the third power, or 5 cubed. And this is how you write it, 5 times 5 times 5. Rewrite 5 3 times because the power is 3. Okay, lastly, notice I skipped the power 4 and 5 because it's going to be the same thing like 6. So 7 to the 6th power is written like this. This is how you say it, 7 to the 6th power. And how it looks like, you rewrite 7 6 times. 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. Okay? And notice that whenever you break down all these exponents, there's the multiplication dot in between all of them. Because when you solve it, all you're doing is multiplying the same number to itself that many times. All you're doing is just multiplying. Okay? Simple so far. Now these dots over here just symbolize that you can keep going and you're gonna just see a pattern. Okay? Moving on to the next page. Now go ahead and pause this video so that the students have some time to copy all of this down. Okay, so they should be finished copying this down. Evaluating powers. Evaluate the expression x cubed, or x to the third power, when x equals 5. So we went over this in 1.1. This is very easy. All you do is replace x with 5. Okay, and like I said, get into the habit of replacing the variables with the number, putting the parentheses. So 5 to the third power. So how do you rewrite this? You rewrite this as 5 times 5 times 5. Now, you multiply, because it says evaluate. Evaluate meaning you just solve. 5 times 5 is 25. then 25 times 5 is 125. Okay, and you just have to solve it with regular multiplication. So this equates to 125. Now there's other scenarios. So what if I had 5 to the third power? So notice that it doesn't have parentheses. How would I rewrite this? So it's still 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, then we already solved it. It's similar to the left side. It all equals to 125. Good. Now, two more scenarios. Okay, so what if we had parentheses negative 5 to the third power? How do you rewrite this? So you rewrite it as negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. Okay, so notice that I rewrote negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5 with parentheses. That's why parentheses is important, because if it wasn't there, you would have thought that it would be negative 5 minus 5 minus 5, which is incorrect. You have to write the parentheses because it will symbolize multiplication. Okay, so let's go through the process. So negative 5 times negative 5. Don't forget your negative rules. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So this is going to be positive 25. Now, lastly, positive 25 times negative 5. A positive times a negative is a negative. And a 25 times 5 would be a negative 125. Okay? If there's any questions with this, I cannot answer right now because I'm off island. Okay, so last scenario. What if we had negative 5 to the third power? Notice it doesn't have the parentheses. So what do you guys think this is going to look like when you rewrite it? Probably you guys are thinking this. Negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5, right? That is wrong. Okay, so how you should actually write it. Okay, let me erase this real quick. So notice the negative is outside the 5. So what I would do is leave the negative outside and put parentheses, then rewrite 5 3 times because it's still raised to the third power. Yeah? So you solve what's inside first. 5 times 5, 25. 25 times 5 is 125. Okay? Then the negative times positive 125 will give you negative 125 still. Okay? So if you need to replay what I just said again, go ahead and replay that certain part. Now, practice this on your own. So go ahead and pause the video and have them practice it for 5 minutes, and we'll go over it together. Okay, those 5 minutes are up. Evaluate the expression for the given value of the variable. Now, 4 to the n when n equals 5. Okay, so like I said, we replace the variables with the number it's given. So let's rewrite this 4 to the 5th power, because you're replacing n with 5. So when you rewrite this, it's 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. You rewrite 4 5 times. Now you just multiply. 4 times 4 gives you 16. 16 times 4 gives you 64. 64 times 4 gives you 256. Then 4 times 256 is 1024. Now, if some of you guys are having a hard time multiplying this in your head, no, I did not multiply this in my head. I went over this 4 times already with 4 different classes, so that's why I know the answer. So this whole thing is equal to 1024. Okay, so let's go over B. Now c to the 6th power when c equals 2. So you're going to replace c with 2. Then to the 6th power. Make sure you do that parentheses for a habit. Now you rewrite 2 how many times? 6 times 2. Okay? So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That's 6 times. So you multiply it. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 2, 8. 8 times 2, 16. 16 times 2, 32. 32 times 2 is 64. Okay, 64 is your answers. And also, get used to boxing your answers so I know which is your answer. Okay, letter C. Last one for this page. Now, let's replace P with 2.5. So, in parentheses, 2.5 raised to the second power. Okay, now, how do you rewrite this? Parentheses 2.5 times parentheses 2.5. Now, if you had that multiplication dot in the middle only, like 2.5 times 2.5, you might get confused because of the decimal, right? That's why it's important to use parentheses most of the time. Okay, always get the habit of using parentheses because you'll get confused with decimal multiplication dots. Okay, so let's go over it. 2.5 times 2.5. Okay, go step by step. We'll deal with the decimals at the end. So 5 times 5 gives us 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 2 gives us 10 plus 2. That's 12. 2 times 5 gives us 10. Carry the 1. 2 times 2 gives us 4 plus 1, which is 5. Okay, now you add 5 to nothing, 5. 2 plus 0, 2. 1 plus 5, 6. Now we look at the decimal places. So you focus on the decimal place to the right of the decimal. So what are the number of decimal places after both decimals? So 1, 2. 2 decimal places. So go back to your answer. Now you're going to make your way left twice. 1, 2. That's 2 decimal places. So your final answer is going to be 6.25. Any questions? Well, I can't answer your question, so it's okay. Now, let's move on to the next page. Okay, write the expression in exponential form. So go ahead and pause this video and give you about 5 minutes to copy all this down. This is the easiest part of this section, easier than the last thing we did. Okay, so now let's go through this together. So write the expression in exponential form. So you're just rewriting this in number form. That's basically all it's saying. So 2 cubed. How do you rewrite this in number form? And you know cubed means raised to the third power. So 2 to the third power. That is it. That is very simple. All you're doing is translating these words into numbers. Okay, so letter B, 9 to the yth power. So you're translating this 9 to the y power. That is it, okay? Super simple. Okay, letter C. C times C times C times C times C times C. So, how do you rewrite this? C to the 6th power. And that is it. Okay, very easy. Now letter D. Maybe letter D, you guys might struggle a little bit, but this is still easy. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times y. So, this is going to be 3 to the 4th times y. And that is it. That is your answer. So you're just rewriting it as how you see it. So if you see 3 4s, then you put 3 raised to the 4. Then times y, because it's just 1. Okay? And notice I didn't rewrite the multiplication dot, because this already implies multiplication. 3 to the 4th times y, because we don't know what y is. Okay, so let's go to letter E. But before we get to letter E, let's go through a little bit more scenarios with letter D. So what if I had 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times y times y? So that's going to equal to 3 to the 4th, y to the 2nd, because you see 2 y's this time. Okay, easy. Now, last scenario. What if we had 3 times y times y times y? this is equal to 3 y to the third power. Okay, easy so far? Should be easy. Okay, now let's go to letter E. Now letter E, 4x times 4x times 4x. How do you rewrite this? It's going to look like this. Parentheses 4x to the third power. Okay, why? Is because when you rewrite this, it's going to be 4x times 4x times 4x. Same thing what you see in the black. Okay, probably what you guys were thinking at first was this, right? 4x to the third without the parentheses. If you were to rewrite this, it would be totally different than what's given up here. It's going to be 4 times x times x times x, and that is not how it exactly looks like above. Okay, so that's the difference. That's why it's good to have parentheses. Okay, now let's go to the next page. I'll give you 3 minutes to copy this down, so please pause the video. Okay, let's go through this together. Evaluate the expression when a equals 1 and b equals 2. So all you're doing is replacing the variables a and b with 1 and 2. So let's go to a. So let's go replace a with 1, still doing the parentheses, plus 2, because you're replacing b with 2. Then another parentheses raised to the second power, or squared. So you solve what's inside the parentheses first, because you're following PEMDAS, okay, and P meaning parentheses in PEMDAS. So you start from top to bottom. So 1 plus 2 gives us 3, which is in the big parentheses, raised to the second power. So how do you rewrite 3 to the second power? It's equivalent to 3 times 3, okay, and 3 times 3 equals 9. That is your final answer. Simple? Okay. Now, letter B. A squared in parentheses plus b squared. So, we replace a with 1 and b with 2. So let's go rewrite this. A with 1 raised to the second power plus b, which is 2 raised to the second power. Okay, follow PEMDAS. What do you solve first? What's in the parentheses? Okay, then what's in the parentheses is the exponent, so you solve the exponents. So let's go transform this. 1, how do you rewrite these two? So it's 1 times 1 in parentheses plus 2 times 2 within parentheses. So 1 plus 1 gives us, or 1 times 1 gives us 1, plus 2 times 2 gives us 4. Then you just add 1 plus 4 equals 5. Any questions with this? Okay. Alright, so let's go move on to next page. So go ahead and pause this video, give them at least 3 minutes to copy this down. Alright, so let's evaluate the expression. Well, the title is exponents and grouping symbols. So evaluate the expression when x equals 4. This is a little bit easier than the last one. Okay, so you're replacing x with 4. So 2 times 4 in parentheses to the third power. So what do you do first? So follow PEMDAS. So exponents is first, so you're solving this first. So you're just rewriting 2, then you're rewriting 4 3 times. Okay, then you solve what's in the parentheses first. So 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 56. Okay, so let's rewrite this over here. So 2 and whatever's in the parentheses is 56. Okay, and so what do you get for your answer? 2 times 56 gives you 112. Okay, so 112 is your answer. My mistake. Correction. 16 times 4 is 64. Okay? That's 64. And after that, it's going to be 2 times 64. Okay? My mistake. Do not follow the first step. Now, 2 times 64 is going to give you 128. Okay? That is your answer for this question. Now, let's go to move on to B. So, parentheses 2x to the third. We replace x with 4. Okay, so parentheses 2, 4, then another parentheses raised to the third. So, what do you solve first? So, you solve first the parentheses, what's in the parentheses. So, 2 times 4 is 8. Now raised to the third power, so it's a bit different than letter A. So you solve it in different steps because following order of operations. Now you rewrite this as 8 times 8 times 8 because 8 to the third power. So 8 times 8 is 64. Now 64 times 8 is, and if you guys are confused with multiplying big numbers, so let's solve it together. 64 times 8. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 6 is 48 plus 3, 51. So our answer is 512. Okay. If there are any questions, go ahead and ask Miss Anne, because she's the one subbing my class for Algebra A. Okay. So, go ahead and pause this video after I'm done mentioning about this. So, this is your classwork. You should be done by this class time because this section was pretty fast again. And if you need to go back to a certain part to replay it, you can go ahead and ask. So copy all this down before you start working. And this is only 15 problems. I counted everything already. So turn that in. Or no, finish this. Verify that you're done with Miss Anne. And hold it until next class and I'll collect it from you next class. Okay, when I see you next week. Alright, so you guys have a great weekend and be safe. I'll see you next class.